What's up, guys? Kind of big deal videos. I want to make a progress log. We are about 2.5 months post Arnold's, and a lot has happened since the Arnold's and prior to. So, for those of you who don't know, 4 weeks prior to the Arnold's, I tore a muscle. I tore a tendon. It was a full tear, and my medial tricep protracted. As you guys know, tricep being has three insertions, and the insertions meet at the distal. There's two. The distal meets the two tricep tendons. Pretty much, there's debate about this, but I've been reading research on it, and they think they kind of meet around the same area. Regardless, these two tendons are very, very close together. And I think if one gets compromised, then based on my experience and my recommendation, if your medial goes, I know a lot of guys have wrote it out, but if you plan on lifting heavy after that, go get surgery right away for that medial. Get it reattached so it won't compromise the distal, because the rest of the distal, make it a full distal tear. It's not pretty, and that's what happened to me. Now I want to talk about my recovery. That being said, I think I've read some horror stories, just some horrific stuff. I've been fortunate to use BPC 157 and TB 500. One of my good friends, one of my acquaintances, should I say, good acquaintances, former coaches, messaged me, and I can't thank him enough for messaging me when he did, because it was like he said that I should, he gave me the recommendation to get that stuff expressed, and he was absolutely right. Now, to talk about the BPC and the TB, they are peptides. They are gray market. They're not illegal. The BPC there's no indication that the compound or the peptide will cause any side effects. There's no serious ramifications from using it, from the research I've read. In fact, they're using it in cardiac patients to reduce inflammation. What it basically does is it reduces systematic inflammation. Why the compound isn't available to people with injuries, I'm not sure. I think it is fairly fresh, but the research is phenomenal. I'm sure it will be one day, and if not, the pharmaceutical companies probably don't want to back it. And I'm not sure why. You never know why, but it seems to be foolproof from what I've read, and it really works. Now, the TB500, most of the research is in mice. I think this is why they haven't really had human trial groups. So that's probably the caveat, actually. That being said, the TB500, pretty close to the same thing, but it restores ligaments, and it also restores other tissue, like around the ligament. And while the TB, I've heard miracles happen from this stuff. Other friends who are powerlifters, actually, I've spoken to since I started using it, and I had no idea so many people had explored this, and they've had good big strains, like a type 3 strain, and they've repaired and gone into meat within 2 months. It completely healed. Now, that being said, I use it pretty aggressively. There are some, if you want to do your research, there's some protocols online. You can find this pretty much anywhere. I was using 15 milligrams per day for the first week. Now, I did use a protocol that it recommended that you load the TB and then kind of let it sit, and I guess it will start distributing in your system. But initially, the load is the most important time after the surgery or post-surgery, and that really strengthens the area, the site where the tendon is, been joined back together. Now, I'm still using them, and we're at week 4.5, 5. Like I'd say I'm at week 5. Other things I've done: physio, massage. And now recently I've done an electro, it's like an electroshock acupuncture. I'm sorry, I forget the name of the treatment, but there's a doctor here, and I'll link her below, who does a phenomenal job at this. And today's the first treatment I had, so it's fairly new to me, but I really feel like I've been able to engage my rear tricep since, like, today is phenomenal. I almost see growth from today, from my workout, and I think it's just because I've kind of been activating that tricep more today. I just measured it. Last week it was 16. I'm pretty sure when I took the cast off it was maybe 13 or 13 and a half. I shit you not, in about 2.5 weeks, I've gotten my tricep and I've gotten my arm back to 17. From measuring here to the peak, and it's phenomenal. I'm astonished. I'm astonished how my strength has progressed. Now, standard protocol. My doctor doesn't want me lifting. Period. Just passive range. Passive range. So the physiotherapist will help you with passive range. That's the recommendation for weeks 6 to 9. 9 to 12, I think there's some strengthening, but it's like active range stuff. And then you can use weights come to week 12, and then it's progressive load by 1 pound. So as you can see, I'm a little ahead of the game. Matt Kroc was lifting 300 pounds or like 285 on a bar, not a Smith, 20 times by day 29. John Cena, I think, was back within like 4 months as well, and he was doing some crazy shit within week 3. So the standard protocol is just that, standard protocol for your average guy, not using BPC, not using TB 500. It doesn't have, I don't know how many pounds of muscle mass on them, and isn't an elite power lifter or an upper power lifter, just a strong gym rat, whatever you may consider us, or a professional wrestler, or a professional athlete. Let's classify all three of us, Matt Kroc, myself, and John Cena, as athletes at least. So if you're athletic and you have substantial amounts of muscle mass, I really don't think standard protocols should apply. You really need a good physiotherapist to work with you. Unfortunately, I didn't have that. I don't have as much guidance, so I am winging it. It is dangerous. It is a little ballsy. I've read Matt Kroc's articles. I'm following his protocols, and I'm trying to be as safe as possible. That being said, I'm going to lower the weight. I'm like on hammer strength machines, I'm almost at 400 pounds. But those are the, hammer strength machines where you're not really engaging your tricep, you're just pushing those stupid machines that you load like 4 plates into like a lower chest exercise, and everybody, a 160-pound guy can probably do 3 plates on that thing, and they think they're Superman. So it's not like really a huge exercise that engages the tricep. So I have no bragging rights there. Mind you, I'm doing this to minimize load on my tricep. Now, in terms of bench press, I did do a plate. I stopped there. I didn't even want to attempt it. I have 20-pound dumbbells I'm rehabbing with. And I don't care. Like, I'm just doing it. I just started doing push-ups about a week ago. For Smith, I've been using Smith machine for bench press for quite a while now, about 3 weeks. I started really low. Now I'm at almost 3 plates. Well, I am at 3 plates. I can effectively do 3 for 6 without getting scared. But even then, I do it once and then I drop it back down because I really, really, really don't want to do anything stupid and re-rupture. And I feel like that's the upper limit, especially that I'm pushing it so much at this point, and I've preserved so much mass on what I'm doing. I don't really need to be pushing the weight right now. So I'm giving myself a 6-month plan to get back to higher weights like dumbbells and whatnot. But if I have to exceed the 6 months, I will, whatever's safe. And I'm going to go by feel. Right now there's still a little bit of inflammation at the site. As you can see, this is the scar. So, and you see the red, that's a little bit of inflammation, exterior inflammation. They just really took the stitches out 2 weeks ago. So this is pretty fresh. So that being said, guys, I hope you take something from this, because the rehab has been phenomenal. And, I'm just about a month out, and that's it, of surgery. And in my opinion, I've really done an amazing job at, keeping what I had, keeping my strength where it is, and I couldn't be any happier with my progression. It's a huge win for me. So I really encourage people to, not do anything stupid, and I don't encourage people to do what I'm doing, like, taking peptides and pushing their bodies. I don't think that's good, a good recommendation for the average person, let alone an athlete. So I'll leave it to your discretion. I'm just telling you what I've done. I think everybody's a unique case, and I really think you have to assess your case. You have to be super careful. Like I said, I'm being a little bit rash myself. So, and I'm willing to admit that. So I don't encourage anyone to do this if they don't feel like, it's something that they're comfortable with, and it's not for everyone. But that said, if you are a crazy guy, I know I looked up to Matt Kroc and his article on T Nation, and I listened to his stories and his protocols, and it really helped me because I needed to, follow someone similar to myself. Although he's like, a god of powerlifting in terms, in comparison to what I do. I'd never benched 700 pounds, excuse me. So I can't compare myself to him, but someone a little bit more, athletic than the sedentary guy, or a little bit more at my level. So I hope that by watching this, someone might pick it up and say, yeah, you know what? It's a 14-week protocol before I start lifting, but maybe there's a little bit more I can do. Maybe I can talk with my physiotherapist. Maybe I can lift 2 pounds on week 6. Maybe I can, whatever. Again, it's your body. It's your rehab. I think people should think critically, and I always find it odd. I do vocational rehabilitation, so I do work with people who have injuries and have to work within recommendations from doctors. Some of them will say they should be sedentary for months. Yeah, I have some stories about my recovery. My surgeon was great, but his communication skills are awful. And if I was the average guy, I'd probably be in a cast for 12 weeks with no physio for 3 because they didn't have physio available at the hospital that he gave me the requisition for. It would have been a horror story, I'll tell you that much. But listen, aside from rambling, I think people err too much on the side of caution, and I'm flabbergasted that people look at me like I have a third eye when I tell even athletes, when I tell them, I'm pushing the envelope a little bit. I mean, shit. Would you stay in a cast for 14 weeks? Actually, I do know some lifters who have, and I know some who have regretted it and some who haven't. But anyhow, it's up to you, and it's really your journey. It's your body. Be safe. Do what you think is best. Of course, consult others, but think critically. And that's what I mean. Like, people look at you like you have a third eye when you start doing your own research independently and consulting other professionals. And really, it should be a multidisciplinary type of work when you're rehabbing, because the guy who did the ortho surgery, he's not a physiotherapist. He didn't take kinesiology. He doesn't know about athletes. This is multidisciplinary. You need to do your research. That goes for everything. Guys, I said this before, you drive your healthcare. You are a unique case. I don't care how many people have X, Y, and Z, diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, you name it. Sure, they're the same mechanisms in everyone, but everybody is slightly different. And we all have different genetic makeups, and we're all designed very differently. So to think that we're all going to be treated uniquely, the same way, is, in my opinion, kind of ignorant. And to think you don't need, multiple professionals looking at multiple components, I think is just ignorant, because it's like an accumulation of several factors. Anyways, I'm done with that. So, kind of big deal videos, and that's my story so far. So next steps, 2 years, I'm probably going to do a master show, maybe 2.5, 3 years. How old am I? Yeah, I guess it might be 3 years. Anyways, I'm not doing anything for a while, but I want to do a master show. So anyways, we'll talk later. I'll be making videos soon, kind of big deal videos. Peace.